Quilt facing is a type of binding or finishing on a quilt where you don't see it. Look, there's absolutely no border. And I had never done it before. I always had a lot of questions when I saw it. Not on how to do it, I got it, but I didn't necessarily like the way that it looked on the back, and that I couldn't wrap my brain around until I did it with this one. When I finished this Journey quilt using Valori Wells' Grace fabric collection, I didn't want a border on it. So I thought whenever I was visualizing it that any border that I would put around it, whether it was rainbow, whether it was monochrome in a color from the quilt, whether it was black and white or gray, it would detract from what was already going on. And I didn't want to do that. So I was like, this is the perfect opportunity for me to try to face it. And it's not like, ah! It is. Look, can you see it? See? There's no binding. But there is. So if you want to learn this technique in quilt binding or finishing that doesn't create a border, instead allows what's going on the quilt to sing, then this is a tutorial for you. If this is your first time here, hi, my name is Matthew of Mixed Domestic. This is an inclusive sewing and crafting space and brand, which means that everyone is welcome here. So if that sounds awesome to you, then don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and then hit that bell to get notified anytime a new video comes out. Now let's get ready to face this quilt. I'm gonna face this quilt two different ways because I wanna see which way I like better. I don't know yet. The top, I'm going to do this triangle method because there seems to be a function for this. Essentially, you'll take a square. I'm doing a smaller triangle than most do. This is only 2.5 inches. Fold it on the diagonal and then place it right here. I'm gonna put this on the top. Once it flips over, there's gonna be like a little pocket that you can then put like a dowel rod if you wanted to hang it. So functionally, it makes sense. I'm not sure if it's the most aesthetic way yet. And then you'll need a strip on the top and the sides and eventually the bottom, but I'm doing the bottom a little bit different. So this right here, it's going to go like a 1/2 inch, 3/4 of an inch shy of that corner. Same thing here. It doesn't matter about the overlap because it's gonna swing over to the front. So I'm gonna clip this, put a triangle on both of the top, and then see how that goes. And that's gonna be the first method that I do. And then for the second way, it's a little bit different. There's no triangle. So I'm doing this one on the bottom. And you're gonna have 2 strips on opposite ends of the quilt, whether it's the sides or the top and bottom. I'm gonna do the bottom, for instance. And that strip is gonna go all the way to the end, like so. It's gonna lay flat. And then the next one, it's not gonna go all the way to the corner. You're gonna leave right here. Once again, a 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch. So this raw edge is inside of it whenever you flip it over. That's what's important because you're gonna flip this over first and then flip that over. You're not even gonna see it. And that's the magic. So I don't feel like fidgeting with these little triangles first, so I am going to baste these in place. If you're not familiar with what basting is, it's just using a longer stitch that I'm going to take out later. Just keeps it in place so it doesn't move around or shift. See how those are super long stitches? That's called a basting stitch. And so now with the regular stitch length, I'm going to sew this strip. See where that placement is? I'm doing the top first. Now I am using my 1/4 inch foot so that this is a perfect 1/4 inch. Get this started. Like so. And as you can see, I'm getting closer to the end. I didn't cut these to the length that I needed. They're longer than I needed so that I can trim it at the end. Like so. Leave about 1/2 inch to 3/4. I'm gonna back stitch here, so it's good to go. See, as long as that is inside the triangle, you're good. And now I'm going to do the same to both sides. On the top, putting this 1/2 inch to 3/4 down, raw edges, line those up, and then I'm gonna sew this down. And if we were doing all triangles, then that's the process. You do the same for the bottom. But on the bottom, I'm doing a different way. So let's pretend like the top is the same as the bottom. That's how you would do it. So this one is going to go all the way to the corner, like so. And then I'll stitch this the entire length of the bottom. I won't keep any space here for the strip. Now that I'm to the end, I'm just gonna go all the way here. Ta-da. I'll go ahead and backstitch. And then I will trim this right here, flush with the raw edge. And that's what it looks like. Ooh. And then for the side strips, you will not start at the edge. So you will start like a 1/2 inch from the edge, 1/2 inch to 3/4. Let's just run with that. These strips are 2-inch strips folded, so it's 1 inch you have to go with. You start at the edge and then sew all the way and do the same thing for the opposite end of the quilt if you were using just this technique. And then one final thing that I am doing here before I proceed to the next step is sewing around the entire perimeter for continuity of the seam in case it got wibbly wobbly. And then right here on the corners, we're going to trim off that corner piece so there's not too much bulk, and that would create a loose seam that might pry apart. So by doing that and continuing the thread, it'll keep it from opening up. The first thing to do here is to trim this corner off because this is all gonna flip over, and if we don't get rid of this little nubbin, then that's gonna create a catastrophe for us. Just make sure not to get those stitches. Do that to all 4 corners. Ooh. So I am at my ironing board and I pressed these down, and then this corner has been trimmed. I just want to show you, if we were binding it, this is what it would look like. And actually this looks really cute as a binding, but I'm still gonna face it. And so all of this is gonna flip over, including this little raw edge, to where it looks like so. Ta-da! That's facing, and all of the binding is essentially going to be on the back. And then this, when we flip it over, reduces this bulk on the corner. That's why this is here. And then it creates a nice, pretty edge. Gonna get my point turner. Really pop out that corner like so. And ta-da, see? That's what it will look like on the back. So I've clipped this corner just to show you, one, yes, facing was the correct option. But this is part of the thing that I don't like, right? So there is this right here, and there is a lot of excess to keep that down, to where if I were just to stitch right here on the edge, this would open. I know one option that I've seen is just to stitch this, like open it back up right here, stitch along this line to keep this down there, but there's still that chance that it'll buckle on the other side eventually after you wash it. Another option for me with this is to fold this over like so, and then do it, and then that will give me enough. FYI, I'm planning on machine stitching this down. I'm not going to hand sew this down. This is not a show quilt. This is going on my lap. That will be enough if I were to have done that. But then I would have single folded this instead of double folded it so that there would be less bulk. And I could have just gone like that. Wrapped it over, single fold, flipped it over, stitched it like it was binding. Then it would still look like facing. But that's not what I did here. So that's my dilemma with this as is. Let me mess with the bottom corner and see what this does. If this enlightens me or gives me any more insight on what my options could be. So this side did give me insight by looking at it of what the only solution for me to do is right here is to stitch close to where this raw edge is here. So this is quarter, so maybe do a little bit right outside of the quarter. And there's going to be a little bit of floppy right here. And I'm just going to have to deal with this as I figure out the most aesthetic way. In the future, when I do facing, I'm going to use an even smaller, thinner strip. So instead of using 2-inch strips that I fold over, I will use 1 3/4 or 1 1/2 that I fold over. So it's just enough to where I can catch that lip and it'll look like binding on the back and ting crisp on the front if I'm going to machine sew it. So that's the solution. Okay, now that I know how I'm going to stitch this and that it's going to be closer to this raw edge, so there's going to be a little bit of floppy, I'm going to glue base this edge right on the inside of that fold with a permanent glue. This is called Fabric Fuse, permanent adhesive. Not going to use a lot, just dots to keep it there so it doesn't flippy flop, and it will help and make it a lot easier when I do go over to the sewing machine and stitch. So I'm gonna just put, see, like dot, dot. Not a lot. Like if some of it comes open, it's totally fine over time. I just don't want to create a big old problem. And so now that I've done just this corner, I'm gonna do it to the whole thing, but this will keep it all down. And one thing about glue basing is anytime you use glue, you definitely wanna heat set it and then let it cool. That will avoid any potential of gumming up needles. Of course, if you sew on some wet glue, it's gonna gunk up your needle. But if you heat set it and allow it to harden and dry, you're fine. And then one other tip is if you put the glue either inside the seam allowance or in this case outside of the seam allowance, then you're not going to be sewing over the glue part and it's going to be good to go. This is what I'm going to do. It's going to keep this flippity flop down and then it's going to keep it basted so I don't have to clip everything when I take it too. So now I have my walking foot on here. They're kind of blending in together and I'm just going to use this edge along this edge as my marker. Walking foot, it's great for putting on binding, I found, and quilting, because there's feed dog on the top and on the bottom, which moves all of the fabric together. But now I'm going to determine where I want this needle to sit, and I'm going to move it over because I want it to fit like right here, not on where this raw edge is, but just to the left of it. And that seems about right. So now I can sew it on the front and ensure that it's going to hit where I want it to. Look at me, I flipped it over. It's like magic. And now I'm just gonna sew. And in the event anyone is a newbie here to sewing, when you get to the corner, what you're gonna do, anytime you have to sew a corner to keep a continuous thread, is you just make sure that the needle is down, lift up the foot, keep the needle in place, pivot, and then continue to sew. And that is how you do it. Wanted to show you the finished stitching. I used Wonderfield Deco Bob, which is an 80 weight polyester on the top. You really can't see it. I didn't want to use the same that I quilted with to compete with any of these lines, because I still wanted that to be the dominant thing. But yeah, look how clean that looks. And then this is the back. See? Yeah, it's great. I used a Ultima, which is a cottonized polyester, because I wanted to have more texture so that would hold on to the Wonder Fill that's on the top because that's a little bit more slippery. So I like to have a balance between the bobbin and the top thread if I'm using a silky thread in one, just to make sure that it latches so that the stitches look good. And this is pretty. Let me show you this one. This is where that little flippity flap is. So that would be the only reason I would ever use a larger triangle here, is if I then wanted to stick like something here to hold it up. Other than that, I can even go smaller on this triangle if I wanted to go that route. This is the bottom where one went all the way to the end and then one went partially to the end. This is what it looks like close up. That's super clean. I thought that it was gonna bother me, but it doesn't. That's fine. If this would be a quarter of an inch shorter, so a half of an inch shorter altogether, if I would have used, let's do the math for them, 1.5 inch strips instead of 2 inch strips here, then that fold would have fit perfectly here. And I would have been satisfied. I might try to next level it one of these times whenever I do this technique again, where I miter the corners to see if I can find a way to minimize the bulk while creating essentially a diagonal line here where the two fabrics meet. I think that'll look really clean. But once again, if this was 1.5 inch strips and they met here, I would be okay with that. It would be not a problem for me. So if you would like that next level facing 2.0 video tutorial, let me know in the comments and I will do that eventually once I get this technique mastered. But for now, yeah, absolutely. The clean lines that facing creates, I am a fan and super glad that I did it on this quilt. So that's fun, yeah, it's different. I'm glad that I finally tested it out, and it's definitely 100% a technique in finishing a quilt that I will use over and over again. And I'll learn how to put my own mixed domestic Matthew twist on it to make it ting ting crisp like all of the other techniques and tricks that I share. So, on that note, if any of you know of any other finishings that I haven't tested or tried before, then put it in the comments so I can learn about it, acquire the information, and then share it with those that don't know about it yet. And really, this quilt is perfection. I wanted it to be a lap quilt that I played with on my couch. It's called a Journey Quilt. And wow, was this quilt a journey, but it finished with a bang of perfection. This is the front. Where's the binding? And then this is the back. Yeah, it's pretty gorge. And I have all of this in my shop. I have the quilt kits to make your own Journey quilt. I have the quilt backing. It's a Marcia Dursey print. So soft. And then even the shirt. I don't talk about that enough, but I've got some really cool merch shirts in my shop that are funny sayings and slogans for quilting, sewing, and I even have some crochet ones. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial as much as I did making it. I really love trying new things. And this was one I had always had questions about. And it was one of those things that I needed to really get into it to have those questions answered. I'm glad I did. Thanks for being a part of my journey. Until next time, happy sewing and quilting. I thought that any border around it, if this is your oh, my hair, it's too much.